Hi family, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be sharing some thoughts on the truth about creativity. So if this is something that you find interesting, stick around. For those who do not know me yet, I am OYOKO, but you could call me V, and let's get into it. So creativity for me is something that has been demonized and glamorized at the same time, but also pursuing a creative career is not always praised and preferred. And it goes to show that there is still this notion that if you want to become a successful artist, it needs to be sacrificial. In other words, you need to sacrifice your comfort, your financial security, your stability, your mental stability, and so many other things. And it's often portrayed in media as a very tricky route to take that could possibly come with many obstacles and hardships unless you know someone or you get discovered, then you might have a chance of succeeding. Yeah, and this actually reminds me of Honey, which is like a dance movie with Jessica Alba, and I'm an early 90s baby, so I just love dance movies. But anyway, I used to watch it all the time. I actually have it. And at the very beginning of that movie, you see that she is in the club. She's a bartender, but she's then in the club dancing, and she has this moment to herself where she's like busting her moves. And someone records that part and shows it to, I think, a director, or I don't know if he was like part of a record label or something. Anyway, the next day, I believe, he goes back to the club and sees her dancing again and wants to approach her. So she gets discovered in that scene, and he wants to offer her an opportunity. At first, she thought it was just bollocks. Later on, she realized that this guy was a big deal, and then she wanted to get into it. Anyway, go watch the movie. If you do not know what I'm talking about, go watch it. Because of this narrative, it shows again that you are one of the lucky ones. You are the exception. You have chosen a path that inescapably will come with struggles, but it will be significantly less than artists that need to do it on their own, that are independent. I think it's still a problematic view. I think people should not be thinking like that anymore. And I think many people don't think like that anymore. But anyway, I think it's just interesting that this is still a thing, that people still think that you need someone else in order for you to succeed. And, especially in this day and age with social media, with, having smartphones and so many other devices, like literally like just technology in general, that narrative should be debunked, really, because you can literally change your life with a device in your hand, and you can become a national sensation. Being a YouTuber, being an artist, being an entertainer is a real job. It's a real job. We need to just make that clear. And people need to change how they perceive the creative industries, the entertainment industry. But yeah, this actually reminds me of the outrage that happened last year, somewhere in October, November in the UK, where the UK Chancellor was interviewed. And during this interview, he made a few statements that many people disliked. They were not happy at all, including myself. He made some statements strongly suggesting that musicians and creatives need to, retrain and find a new job.
Paint us a picture. How have things changed for you in the last 6 months?
The last 6 months for me have been brutal mental health wise, and I know for a fact that a lot of music people feel the same way. So hearing everything that Rishi Sunak today was basically discussing with regards to we can't save all of the jobs, and we can retrain, really broke my heart, and I'm sure it broke a lot of people's hearts at home, especially we've trained so long to be in our jobs, and we're completely suffering.
But what I want to say really to the Minister and through the Minister to the Chancellor is that he's got to stop this talk about people in the creative industries going on and doing something else. I mean, there's a report today on the ITV website where the Chancellor suggested musicians and others in the arts industries may need to retrain and find new jobs. He's talking about actors, musicians, creatives, and people like that. He asked whether he was suggesting some of the UK's fabulous musicians, artists, and actors should get another job. The Chancellor suggested there is still work available in the creative industries, but said, as in all walks of life, everyone's having to adapt. These are proper jobs. You know, being creative, involved in our creative industries, whether you're an actor like my brother is, or like the Honourable Member, or whether you're a musician, whether you're a director, whatever freelance role or employed role you have, these are proper real jobs in the fastest growing sector of our economy. And it's about time the government acknowledge that. Some parts of the government do, in all fairness, and I do welcome the package that the government brought forward previously, or we need to see that money being distributed now. But the attitude that it's not a proper job has got to go.
I just think that we need to start normalizing it and see it as a real job, because it's a bloody hard one at that. So for people to think that you can easily do something else, it's not. It's like, it's a real job. Like, people work hard for this. They work really hard for their art, to master the skills that they need. Yeah, so there are a few pointers that I wanted to share. First one is stress. I think it's just very stress-inducing to be, creative, to be an artist, and it just comes with lots of emotional preparation, gathering information, trying to make sense of things, or maybe not even wanting to make sense of things, depending on your art form, depending on your craft. Another thing is self-doubt. Like, self-doubt pops up from time to time. I struggle with self-doubt as well. Sometimes it will just come up, and then I start comparing myself. I look at other artists or creators that are doing something similar, and then start to question myself, like, oh, why am I still here in this position and they're already there? I should be there too now. All these things, and feeling alone at times. And actually, James Baldwin wrote an essay on the creative process, and I highly recommend reading that, because he really shares his interpretation. He really shares his interpretation of what it means to be an artist, what it means to create, and how that is paired with being alone, and essentially what it means for humanity, what artists and creativity and art means for humanity. So yeah, definitely go and check that out. I'll put the link in the description. Actually, I have a quote I want to share. A society must assume that it is stable, but the artist must know, and he must let us know, that there is nothing stable under heaven. He's such a brilliant writer. He's such a brilliant writer. Anyway, go and check out James Baldwin if you not familiar with that work. Yeah, my next point is the constant need to be perfect. So striving for perfection, wanting to present the best quality product, the best version of yourself, seeking approval and validation from strangers, but even people that you know. And there's just lots of things happening, but I think it's just really important to recognize that I don't think we will ever meet the standard of perfection. I mean, we all want to be perfect, but is it really achievable? That's the question. Then I have the pressure of success. So how success should look like, living up to people's expectations of you, having an unrealistic timeline, wanting to achieve something by a certain age. I think all contributes to the pressure that we give ourselves in order to be perceived as successful, or what it means, what success actually means, because success looks different to everyone. And this includes procrastination, the fear of failing, having self-limiting beliefs, and the 10,000 hours rule. I think Malcolm Gladwell, wrote a whole book about this. I haven't read it yet. In this book, he describes the 10,000 hours rule, the golden rule. If you put in 10,000 hours, you will become skillful. You will be an expert in something. in regards to where you put your energy and time in. I don't think this is necessarily true. Some people need more hours, other people might need less hours in order to, be highly skilled in a particular expertise, which is fine. But to say that every single person will become an expert when they put 10,000 hours, I'm not sure. But it is an interesting concept. So do let me know what you think about that. If that is actually the golden rule. But I've heard it so many times. So there must be some truth to that. And yeah, the only thing that I can say is practice makes you better, not perfect. I think people wanting to become perfect is just unrealistic. Yeah, and that goes back to the constant need to be perfect. It's okay to desire the best version and wanting to be perfect, but that's different from you actually thinking that perfection is a possibility, because I don't think that's even a possibility. I think it's unattainable for anyone to become perfect. Having a close proximity to perfection is possible, but actually becoming perfect, I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it, but that's just me. I'm not saying that what I'm saying is fact. That's just based on my opinion and my own lived experience.
It's only the people, social media, that says when you walk onto a set, you got to know who you are. You telling me you have the imposter syndrome? That means you got to go into therapy and you got to just find out. You got to get some more confidence. It's not about confidence. It's about that feeling of always feeling you're in process and that you could be better.
And the last thing that I want to bring up is feeling like an imposter. I struggle with this sometimes. I feel like sometimes I do not deserve the opportunities that come my way. Even when people say, oh, you did a great job. Oh, we like your projects and this and that. I still think, it's all right. I criticize myself. I downplay my achievements. And I think it's just really important to identify these intrusive thoughts, and in many cases, these thoughts are not even yours. Those are the thoughts of other people, and they've verbalized that to you, and now you've internalized it. So I try to eliminate intrusive thoughts and not spend any time and energy on negative thoughts, because it's not going to help me anyway. I think it goes for anyone. Feeling like an imposter is not necessarily a thing that only creative people might struggle with. I think anyone can feel like an imposter at some point in their life. I think it's very important to identify if this is a situational and temporary thing, or if this is an ongoing experience, because if that's the case, then there's a difference. But yeah, I think anyone can experience imposter syndrome. This was the video, and I realized that I was quite close to the camera, but it is what it is. It is what it is. But let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts. How do you feel about the 10,000 hour rule? How do you feel about imposter syndrome? If you experienced it or not. Do you think that media has influenced you in how you portrayed creative jobs, the creative industries, entertainment industry? And do you see it as a normal job or a real job? I think there is obviously a difference, because some people don't see it as a real job, and other people see it as a abnormal or unconventional job. But anyway, let me know your thoughts, and I hope you liked the video. So make sure to like and subscribe and comment. And yeah, I hope you are well. I hope you go well. I hope you stay well. And I will see you in the next video. Deuces.